Alright, welcome to my people, ja people, blessed love to the eye them, and happy Sunday. I know that today is a relaxing day for most of us, but what I want you to do is to relax on this, because what I'm bringing to you guys is very profound, very and highly important, especially to us. You see my skin? You see the tone of my skin? See my face? Black people. No, black people. We all know that Europe has orchestrated our downfall to control and rule us and rule our continent, Africa. And they have taught us so many lies for so many years and so many centuries. This is the time for every black people stand up. And you see, you, Unu, will live in a Europe and in a Babylon at the right time for the item this to take a stand, because here we are going now. The Bible already telling us certain things, you know. So it shouldn't be no excuse to make the right choice and do the right thing. You will know the right choice and the right things to do. Don't expect me to tell you all the time, because most of we only look for another black man to accuse, because that's what they taught you guys to do, to accuse each other, because they make their speech, their laws, and what they are about, and their liberty and freedom history the most. And we can't dispute. But here, today, modern day, we have found a man with the intelligence, with the knowledge, with experience, with the wisdom to dispute everything from Babylon. Everything. Everything. All them Oxford University professor, he disputed everything. When him done with them professor, them pack up, them resign, move them, he destroyed them. So now tell me about Babylon. We know that we all think Babylon is great and America is great. But this man cut them down easily. What we gonna do, what you are gonna do to this? Oh, you're gonna deny another brother. I know, because that is what we all been taught to do. And once you're in Babylon, in Europe, in America, any part of Europe, in the Western world, you have to bow. You can't make the decision on your own. Seriously. But today, I challenge you guys to rise up. I'm not gonna take too much time to talk about this video and push too much harsh things and harsh words and this and that, because I know y'all looking for another black man to dispute and to bring down. You understand me? And to disagree with. But here, you see, this video may I play for now. None of you can dispute it. None of you bring down a black people. None of you puppet black people can't bring down this man, Ibrahim Traore. You understand me? So without further delay, I would rather ask you guys, or tell you guys, or applaud you guys to watch this video. You can watch it in privacy. You not have to make them see and make them know what you are observe. But gain your own knowledge. Remember, say one life you have to live in. One, not two, not three. And when you lose it, Babylon can't get it back, See? So now you know death is a salvant, is a salvation. So stand up proud. Anyway, before further delay, watch the video. Like and share it because it's very shareable. Share it. Man, me share it so much this morning. Me tell you, me want to share it to all of my pick them. All my woman, me want to share it to. Me share it with her 2 times. Me share it to me pick them 2. It is so shareable. Watch it. Listen to it over and over. Consider it because it is giving us more. My God, Jaja, I wish I could just take all of that knowledge, all of this knowledge from here in this video and place it inside of me. Why we never knew this thing? Why they never taught us this thing? It was orchestrated by the lying professors from Oxford University and all the white universities. And you know what go on? Them pump it in us so much how we use them, so much black youth, so much black people, that the whole place is saturated with their corruption. But these are the days. These are the days when the table and the tide is turning. You can't stop again, You cannot stop again. You understand me? And yo, you know, Ibrahim Charo is the greatest, the most greatest black man we have ever seen. And after him, there be many because he is creating them. He is creating them. He is even creating great white man right now. He must create great white men right now. Because some of the black men and black people not too weak. So while not dead and weak, the white man is being strong on the truth. No, not on the lies. So watch the video, share the video, make it circulate. Make it go around in a circle because it have content in it so substantial. Blessed love. No stay well, stay safe and in a balance. And remember, one Daniel Marshall. Best. Yes. I can't. I must say this. I must say this because I cannot be ungrateful. Seeing, I want to congratulate and thank many of you diaspora people who has helped Daniel Marshall with donation to build this house. And I am not the only man who you guys have helped. My God, we love you, me not tell you a lie. You guys have seen the truth. You have seen so many strength and power in us here in Jamaica that you would take your hard-earned money and send it to us to help us to fix up our place, to build our place, to put food on the table. I must say this. I thank you. I thank you very much. All of you great black men. You understand me? My brethren, Croft, big up yourself. My brethren, Mr. McGivan. My brethren, Mr. McFarlane. Yo. I really, really, really love and appreciate the item. Trust me on a real base. I may have to say it in this video because I know I've said so many profound things, and if I leave it like that, you never carry feelings for me. And I'm not going to support me no more. Like how me is right now, and me need the support. And most of the item draw back because the item heard certain things that I've been saying. But believe me, you are still in my heart here, so right now, on a real basis, and you have done a good thing. Seeing, make a move out of the way. You see this box here? I love so much. My God. So now, let me go on. How and why I came to this and came upon this video. I am writing a song, and when my great producer from up there in Highgate, you know who me I talk about, Mindpower Record, yeah, Kezrai Parks, big up yourself, you know, help me man, to continue to support me thing so me can do and rise up as a great black man. There's a lot of great black men here in Jamaica, you know, but you know what, them not getting a highlight too tough. See, we're not getting the highlight. So me I take this time and this chance on this platform here because God give me that platform here, you know. And most like me don't even know how it come about, you know. But me listen to God. And when it happen, my God, it took off like a fire rocket. Where me stand right now is like the devil catch up to me. And I slow down my thing by placing corruption in my people them heart. In you my people them heart. I don't love that. See, you see, the song, the rhythm that he put out, its name Burkino. Yeah, I was sitting down there in my office, in my bedroom, and when me see it, when we get the notification and see it, one word me say at the Burkino, and then yes, I think I recognize something from him. Either the Highgate, either the Mindpower Recorder or something. And I say, wow, quick, me gone up, me tap on me I do and gone over there. And we download the rhythm. And I decide to have to write a song, I have to write. Because I write one already, you know. Yeah, I write and recorded one already. But this one, my God. So I sit down there now and I write. And I start to do some research. And if I'm writing about Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore, I must research his videos to find the right information that I'm looking for. Man, I'm going to find this video. See? So here I go on. Before me go back into it and play the video for the item, me have applaud this woman here. And I don't care right now. If I get her in trouble or she get in trouble, she need to be honored. So I, Daniel Marshall, honor you, Miss D. I love you, sister. My God. Yo. So, while I was building the house, she was donating money to me to get the material and stuff like that and to pay the workman. She sent me a good amount of money one time. I think it was about 400 pound. And I said, all right, me need a little box to play my music. Because I love my music. See, it's my music that fuel everything. Where I'm at right now, I'm a music. I'm a music. Years me I'm a music. It fuel me. It make me be calm. It make me choose peace over war. It make me choose life over death. Because me have to see the day when people start take on to it. You understand? So me buy the box here. And me spend 62,000 Jamaican dollar for it. The store out the road there wanted 65 and me ball on the price and say alright. I say only 62 me have the answer. And I say alright. And I send my little young grandnephew to go pick it up. And him and him friend then pick it up. But you see what I realize? With enough black people around here, especially enough of them in Jamaica, them ungrateful, them not good. And them fight against them own blessing and them destroy them business. You see when them business finally cut down, them gone till now come back because of the deceitfulness for them carry out. They are them know some is a man, is a juice man, but do my little business. And I like so that's me, I just carpenter work and building work we do, you know. Me come up with a product. See it, huh? So me label them and I show them again. So me label them here. See? And this is just the beetroot. And I go around to them business. And after me spending so much money in them business, and them see me pass by them store day by day. And would they, even the workers, would they stop and purchase one of my juice? No. Same thing with the supermarket. Almost every day I go to the supermarket, you know. Go shop. Nobody spend $1 with my juice. And I make sure I go there, both the supermarket and the hardware. Yo, black people, what make you so dirty? What make you so nasty? What make you so ungrateful? What make you so ungood? None of them purchase. None of my juice. Never. Me go further ahead again now. If you write a song about the supermarket, and it name assistants. Because all the time I go to the cashier, them I call assistants. Assistant. I say, wow. I write a song called Assistants. So I carry to the supermarket and play. Everybody happening. But they never purchase one of my juice. Right now there's a water store out the road named the Water Store. And the Chinaman, we are walk there, every day, he pass me and go to the restaurant, go buy food. And when them start, you know, me the first man start support them thing consistently, you know, because the water themselves is economical. And I can afford that. I can't afford to buy the supermarket, buy them big bag. Hold on, let me show you that. We just refill that one here. We just refill this one yesterday. You know how much I pay for refill it? $130. So you think about it. Yeah? But me now make them distract me, you know. Because a devil works. Them a carry out, you know. And this Chinaman, he never passed me the juice, man. And he never said, boy, what? We have some money here, juice, man, just for encouragement. Because once you do that, me will continue to support you, you know. Me will remember your goodness, you know. Now my heart kind of says, me don't want to go there. And we don't already tell them, say, yo, man a giant around here in my community. Anything we choose and anywhere we go and store and shop, you know, the masses will follow. You have the customer them now. You see enough other people from around us on the road. I go in store because them see me. I carry the water, I come from there. I want things, certain things you can't hide, you know. But when you know certain things, you can build upon it. And we have some black people, some denial black people love deny we. Deny we greatness. Nah, give we no credit. So alright, you are going now. I want to play the song. Yeah man, I want to play the song. We want to play it. I have to play the song because I hate cause me. I hate store all of this. So I have to play it. Make the eye them hear it. Me, Daniel Marshall, IRS Hardcore, write my song them, record my song them. I have to do everything for myself because I now get no help at all, too tough from the music fraternity, you know, my talent. Nobody not go on like no, they don't want to recognize it. But God, it's when the Almighty I open the door, open the floodgate. Remember me tell you, so me stay calm and peaceful and give that time. So without further delay, me play a song so the audience can hear it.
Young man, we define one day like this would have come. When you would have seen a man black hero.
Mark, you still at work for him. Now play it again. Can't play one time. May I tell you, powerful. Hold on up. You see, as an uptown, as an upcoming artist, you see when we carry them a song at the radio station put them aside because they are being brainwashed by Babylon, especially the Americans, and them no want to take part in something like this. You see, but me I reach out to no found a DJ, no found a selector. Stand up.
Man, we define one day like this would have come. When you would have seen a man black hero.
Stay in the video. Don't leave. And make sure you give this one a like.
black man's motherland. And that's everything come from, everything pure, everything natural. Golden sunshine with the holy mineral. Just the millennium, and this is the millennium land. That means it come from a rich land. And like the pale face European, want to take away father's motherland.
Corona man, Imadikian man, terrible man, can't turn up to Ivory Traore. Can't turn up to Ivory Traore. Unite the rod of correction. Love rise against each other with rebellion. Many. He's a very wise man. Yeah, man. Africa is a very rich land. It's our parental land. And it's not a poor land. Blessed. Alright, so here I go now. I'm going to play the video so the audience can see it right now. Thank you for watching and thank you for being with I and I. Like and share and subscribe to the channel, saying boom shot. One Daniel Marshall, the best.
Oxford University's 800-year history had never witnessed such profound silence. Professor Harrington had just declared, "Africa has contributed nothing to human civilization." Ibrahim Traore rose from his seat as 500 academics held their breath. But no one could have predicted that his words over the next 10 minutes would go viral and end the professor's career. The Sheldonian Theatre at Oxford was packed that March afternoon. It was meant to be a routine lecture on global leadership in the 21st century, featuring various world leaders and academics. Ibrahim Traore, president of Burkina Faso, had been invited as part of the university's African Leadership Series. He sat quietly in the front row, dressed in a simple dark suit, taking notes as various speakers presented their views on development, democracy, and international cooperation. Professor Edmund Harrington took the stage at 3:30 p.m. A man in his late 60s with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses, he commanded respect through decades of published work on European history and civilization. His introduction was glowing. Rhodes Scholar, author of 12 books, holder of 3 honorary doctorates. As he began his lecture on the foundations of modern civilization, his tone was confident, almost dismissive, as if the conclusions he was about to present were beyond dispute. "When we examine the pillars of human advancement," Harrington began, his voice echoing through the historic venue, "we see a clear pattern. Mathematics from Greece, law from Rome, philosophy from Germany, industrial innovation from Britain." He paused, surveying the audience over his glasses. "The foundations of what we call civilization have decidedly Western origins." Several audience members shifted uncomfortably, but Harrington continued, emboldened by the academic setting that had long protected such views. 20 minutes into his lecture, Harrington made the statement that would define the rest of his life. Now, some might ask about other continents' contributions. Asia gave us gunpowder and paper, certainly. The Americas had sophisticated calendars. But Africa? He paused dramatically, a slight smirk playing on his lips. "I challenge anyone in this room to name a single significant contribution to human civilization from sub-Saharan Africa." The continent has been a recipient of civilization, not a contributor to it. The silence that followed was deafening. In the front row, Ibrahim Traoré slowly closed his notebook. He placed his pen carefully on the desk beside it. Around him, several African students and academics sat frozen, caught between outrage and the intimidating atmosphere of challenging such a senior professor in Oxford's most prestigious venue. The moment stretched on, heavy with unspoken tension, until Traoré raised his hand. Yes? Harrington acknowledged him with barely concealed irritation, clearly not expecting to be challenged. Traoré stood, his movement deliberate and calm. "Professor Harrington," he began, his voice carrying despite not using the microphone, "I would like to respond to your assertion, if I may." Harrington's smirk widened. "By all means, Mr." He pretended not to know who Traoré was, though the president had been introduced at the beginning of the event. "Traoré? Ibrahim Traoré," he replied simply, not mentioning his title. "And I accept your challenge." A ripple of anticipation ran through the audience. Several people began discreetly recording on their phones, sensing something significant was about to unfold. Harrington gestured dismissively toward the stage. "Please, enlighten us. But do try to stick to historical facts rather than romantic nationalism." The condescension in his voice was palpable. Traoré walked to the podium with measured steps. He carried with him a simple leather folder that he placed carefully on the lectern. For a moment he stood silently, looking out at the audience, then directly at Harrington. "Professor," he began, "before I address your challenge, may I ask you a question? In your extensive research, have you ever visited the manuscript collections in Timbuktu? Have you studied the mathematical treatises of the Dogon people? Have you examined the metallurgical techniques of the Haya people of Tanzania?" Harrington waved his hand dismissively. "Ancient mud buildings and primitive folklore hardly constitute civilization, Mr. Traoré. We're talking about contributions to human advancement, not anthropological curiosities." Several gasps could be heard from the audience at the blatant disrespect. But Traoré remained calm, opening his folder and pulling out a single document. "Then let us begin with something you might recognize," he said, holding up a photocopy of an ancient text. "This is a page from the Labombo bone discovered in Swaziland. It's 44,000 years old, Professor. It contains the earliest known mathematical calculations in human history. 29 distinct notches, marking lunar cycles. Mathematics didn't begin in Greece, Professor. It began in Africa." The smirk began to fade from Harrington's face, but he quickly recovered. "Counting notches is hardly Pythagoras," he scoffed. Traoré pulled out another document. "Then perhaps we should discuss the Ishango bone from the Democratic Republic of Congo, 20,000 years old, containing evidence of prime numbers, multiplication, and division. This predates Greek mathematics by nearly 19,000 years." He paused, letting the numbers sink in. "But you want more recent examples? Very well. Let's discuss the University of Sankore in Timbuktu, which housed 700,000 manuscripts and educated 25,000 students in the 12th century, when Oxford was still a collection of drinking halls." The audience was now completely silent, hanging on every word. Traoré continued, his voice gaining strength but never losing its calm dignity. "You mentioned law coming from Rome. Shall we discuss the constitution of the Ashanti Confederacy, which included checks and balances 3 centuries before the American Constitution? Or the Buganda Parliament, which had a complex system of democratic governance while Europe was still ruled by absolute monarchs?" "You speak of philosophy from Germany," Traoré continued, now fully in his element. "Have you read the philosophical texts of Zara Jacob, the 17th century Ethiopian philosopher who developed ideas about rational inquiry and human rights that preceded the European Enlightenment? His student, Walda Haywat, wrote treatises on ethics that rival anything produced in Europe at the time. But of course they wrote in Ge'ez, not Latin, so perhaps they don't count in your estimation." Harrington tried to interject. "These are isolated examples." But Traoré held up his hand, and surprisingly, the professor fell silent. "Isolated? Professor, let me tell you about isolation. It's when the Library of Alexandria, founded by an African dynasty, housed the world's knowledge while the ancestors of Oxford's founders were still living in mud huts. It's when African mathematicians were calculating the circumference of the Earth, while Europeans believed it was flat. You want contributions to civilization?" Traoré's voice rose slightly for the first time. Let's talk about medicine. The first successful cataract surgery was performed in Mali in the 14th century. The first cesarean section, where both mother and child survived, was performed in Uganda in 1879, using techniques that wouldn't appear in European medicine for another 50 years. The first vaccination, not Edward Jenner's cowpox but variolation against smallpox, was practiced in West Africa and brought to America by enslaved Africans. He pulled out another paper. Architecture? The Great Zimbabwe's acoustic properties surpass modern engineering. The Nubian pyramids predate their Egyptian counterparts. The rock churches of Lalibela were carved from single pieces of volcanic rock with a precision that modern engineers struggle to explain. But perhaps you've never heard of these because they don't fit your narrative of African primitiveness. The transformation in the room was palpable. Students who had been slouching were now sitting upright, many taking notes. Several professors were nodding along, some looking uncomfortable, others seemingly discovering this information for the first time. Harrington's face had gone from dismissive to defensive to something approaching panic, but Traore wasn't finished. "Let's discuss metallurgy," he continued, his voice now carrying the authority of absolute certainty. The Haya people of Tanzania were producing carbon steel in blast furnaces 2,000 years ago, a technique that wouldn't appear in Europe until the Industrial Revolution. The bronzes of Benin are so sophisticated that when Europeans first saw them, they refused to believe Africans could have made them, so they invented theories about lost Portuguese craftsmen. Agriculture? Africans domesticated pearl millet, sorghum, African rice, yam, black-eyed peas, watermelon, and okra. They developed complex irrigation systems in the Sahel that sustained cities of hundreds of thousands while Europe was experiencing the Dark Ages. The terraced agriculture of the Dogon people has sustained communities for over 1,000 years in conditions where European farming methods fail within a season. Traore paused, looking directly at Harrington, who was now visibly sweating despite the cool temperature of the theater. But perhaps most importantly, Professor, let's talk about Ubuntu, the philosophical concept that I am because we are. While European philosophy was obsessing over individual rights and conquest, African philosophy was developing concepts of restorative justice, collective responsibility, and human dignity that the so-called civilized world is only now beginning to understand. "The tragedy, Professor Harrington," Traore said, his voice now soft but piercing, "is not that Africa contributed nothing to civilization. The tragedy is that scholars like you have spent centuries actively erasing, ignoring, and denigrating those contributions. When the Library of Timbuktu was at its height, housing more books than any European university, your ancestors called us illiterate. When our astronomers were tracking the movements of the stars, you called us superstitious. When our healers were performing complex surgeries, you called us witch doctors." He picked up his folder and pulled out one final document. "This, Professor, is a letter from Cecil Rhodes, founder of the scholarship that perhaps funded your education. In it, he explicitly states that African history must be suppressed to justify colonization. Your ignorance isn't accidental, Professor. It's the result of a deliberate, systematic effort to erase African contributions to human civilization, and you've been perpetuating it for 47 years. The silence in the theater was absolute. Harrington stood at the side of the stage, his mouth opening and closing, but no words emerged. Traore wasn't quite finished. "I could continue for hours, Professor. I could tell you about the astronomical calculations of the Dogon people who knew about Sirius B centuries before Western telescopes could detect it. I could describe the complex fractal geometry in African art that predates Mandelbrot by centuries. I could explain how the call and response tradition of African music became the foundation for jazz, blues, rock, and virtually every form of popular music. But I think I've made my point," Traore concluded. "The question isn't whether Africa contributed to civilization. The question is why you, a professor at one of the world's most prestigious universities, don't know any of this. Or worse," he paused, making eye contact with Harrington, "why you know it and choose to deny it." The first clap came from a young African woman in the third row, then another. Within seconds, the entire theater erupted in thunderous applause. Students stood, then professors, then even some of the administrators. But the most remarkable reaction came from an elderly white professor in the front row. Professor Mary Whitfield, head of African Studies, stood and spoke into her microphone. "Mr. President," she said, acknowledging Traore's actual title for the first time, As a member of this institution, I apologize. Your words today have exposed a shameful blind spot in our curriculum. I move that Oxford immediately review and revise our history programs to include the African contributions you've outlined. The applause renewed, even louder. Harrington, isolated on the side of the stage, looked around desperately for support, but found none. His decades of authority had evaporated in 10 minutes. When the applause finally died down, Traoré spoke once more. "I don't seek apologies," he said quietly. "I seek truth. And the truth is that human civilization is not the property of any one continent or race. It's the culmination of all human achievement, from the first mathematical calculation on an African bone to the latest scientific discovery. But as long as professors like Dr. Harrington continue to teach a deliberately incomplete history, we perpetuate ignorance and prejudice. Today, in this room, we have a choice. Continue the lies or embrace the full, rich, complex truth of human achievement." He gathered his papers and walked back to his seat. As he passed Harrington, he paused. "Professor," he said quietly, but loud enough for the microphones to pick up, "I've left copies of all these sources with your department. I hope you'll find time to read them." The aftermath was swift and decisive. Within hours, videos of Traoré's response had been uploaded to social media with titles like "African President Destroys Racist Oxford Professor" and "The Most Epic Takedown in Academic History." By the next morning, the videos had millions of views. News outlets around the world picked up the story. Scholars from various African universities provided additional examples supporting Traoré's points. The hashtag #AfricaBuiltCivilization began trending globally. Professor Harrington released a statement the following day, announcing his early retirement to pursue personal interests. Oxford University issued a formal apology and announced a comprehensive review of its history curriculum. The Sheldonian Theatre, where the confrontation had taken place, would host a new annual lecture series on African contributions to global civilization. The first speaker would be Ibrahim Traoré. But perhaps the most significant outcome came from the students. Enrollment in African studies programs surged across British universities. Young historians began traveling to Africa to study in archives that had been ignored for centuries. The manuscripts of Timbuktu, the astronomical knowledge of the Dogon, the medical practices of traditional healers, all became subjects of serious academic study. A year later, Oxford University unveiled a new statue in its main quadrangle. It wasn't of Ibrahim Traoré, who had declined the honor. Instead, it was of Ahmed Baba al-Timbukti, the 16th century African scholar whose 1,600 books on law, medicine, philosophy, and mathematics had educated generations while Oxford was still in its infancy. The inscription read, "Knowledge has no color, wisdom has no continent, and truth belongs to all humanity." In an interview years later, Traoré reflected on that day at Oxford. "I didn't go there intending to give that speech," he admitted. "But when Professor Harrington made his statement, I thought of all the African children who would hear such words and believe them. I thought of all the brilliant African minds throughout history whose contributions were erased or stolen. I couldn't remain silent. The real tragedy," he continued, "is not what one ignorant professor said. It's that his views were considered acceptable in an institution dedicated to truth and knowledge. How many students had sat through his lectures over 47 years, absorbing these lies? How many went on to positions of power, carrying these prejudices with them? That's why I had to speak, not to humiliate him, but to break the cycle." The interviewer asked if he felt his response was too harsh. Traoré shook his head. "For centuries, African history has been written by those who enslaved us, colonized us, and exploited us. They had no interest in acknowledging our achievements. When you've been denied your history for so long, speaking the truth isn't harsh, it's necessary. Professor Harrington had 47 years to learn the truth. He chose ignorance. I simply chose not to let that ignorance stand unchallenged." Today, the Traoré moment, as it came to be known, is studied in universities worldwide as a turning point in academic discourse about African history. It serves as a reminder that knowledge, real knowledge, requires humility, curiosity, and a willingness to challenge long-held assumptions. It proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon against prejudice isn't anger or violence, it's truth, delivered with dignity and backed by irrefutable facts. And in classrooms from Lagos to London, from Cairo to Cape Town, Teachers now begin their lessons on African history with a simple truth that should never have been controversial. Africa is not just part of human civilization, it's where human civilization began. The silence that fell over Oxford University that March afternoon wasn't just the end of one professor's career. It was the beginning of a long overdue conversation about whose stories get told, whose achievements get recognized, and whose contributions to human civilization get remembered.